sleeves, show his scars, say these wounds. Old men forget, yet all shall be forgotten. For he today who sheds his blood with me shall be my brother. Got a question for you. Who's got it better than us? Nobody! Give each other a high five.
Welcome to the Big House, CFB Nation. How are you? I'm Andy. We're back again with another episode, so let's get right into it. Before we talk about the spring game, breaking news today, the cornerback 2 spot has been answered. DJ Waller Jr. has hit the portal. What that means is Jair Hill has won the opposite corner job to Will Johnson. Now, Hill is the more regarded corner of the two. He was the one that was more highly touted coming in from high school. With Waller, he is more of a physical corner, whereas with Jair Hill, he's more of an all-around corner, and I feel like his length and just his quickness overall, I think it's going to help that secondary with the blitz package that we'll see this upcoming season. Now let's get right into the spring game. Team 145. We saw the blue team on offense, and that was led by Alex Orji. He was in on the first series. Now, his first pass was an easy rollout to get in rhythm and a short throw to the tight end. He was very off target on that one. His second throw, his feet wasn't set, and once again, he was very off target. Now, on a 4th and 3, they did let him throw the ball. He was decisive, on target, and got the completion. He did do a sidearm throw that I kind of liked. Now, he did get in rhythm the very next play. He was on target. The ball was perfectly placed. The first RPO that they ran on that first drive, Orji kept it for a scramble and a touchdown. And Orji looked pretty good as a runner. As a passer, it was more inconclusive. That was it pretty much for the first series. He didn't come back in until the fourth quarter, and he struggled. He simply struggled. He made some bad throws, held on to the ball for too long, took a sack when he didn't need to. When his first read is there, he's fine. He looks good. When he has to improvise, when he has to look beyond that first read, he kind of panics, he kind of struggles. And at this time, he's just more comfortable as a runner. Now, in the past, I've compared him to a poor man's Jalen Moreau. He was the scout team quarterback for the Rose Bowl. He played the Jalen Moreau type, and that's who he is. He's just a guy that if you give him the first read, he's fine. If you ask him to do more, he struggles. The issue with Orji is he's too good of a talent to keep off the field, but he isn't good enough to play as an every down starter for Michigan this season. Now, we still have fall camp. We still got a lot of time for growth, but at this time, I'm a little concerned if he's the starter. The final play of the game, he did limp with what maybe appears to be like a hammy or a calf, but overall, he didn't look very good. The backup quarterback for the blue team was true freshman Jaden Davis. Now, he got in on the second series and played pretty much the rest of the first half and into the third quarter. His first pass was a short bubble screen. It was accurate. We saw him out of the pistol, and I do like that. He did show some command. He called audibles, and I do like that for a true freshman. And at no point in the game did it look too fast for him. It looked like he belonged. He fit there. He was willing to push the ball downfield. I do like that. I don't think he gets in this year. I think you kind of put him on the back burner, let him learn, let him grow, get into the strength and conditioning program. And next year, I think next year, he's the guy. The future is bright there. You have something with Jane Davis. I think he knows he's not ready. So he's not a candidate to kind of hit the portal in the spring window. So I'm not worried about that. I truly truly do believe in 2025 and beyond, he will be the guy for Michigan. Now let's continue to talk about the blue team. We saw Donovan Edwards, and he got in, I believe it was 5 carries for 35 yards. He showed patience. Now, Donovan Edwards' patience and a typical running back patience, they're two different things. He showed the patience that we've expected. Now, he did show that quick lateral burst that we liked. He put on those extra pounds, and we got to see that. He looked more physically strong. He was a power runner in this game. You saw him kind of break some tackles. He showed some good contact balance. He overall looks like a more confident runner, and I do like that. He also did show his speed. He got out wide. He was tripped up by Jair Hill on that final carry of his, but he looked pretty nice. Now, he got that superstar treatment. Only in for one series. He was done for the rest of the game. The backup was Ben Hall, and I've never understood the hype on Ben Hall, to be perfectly honest. He is a straight line runner without a burst. He struggled. He looked sluggish. He is someone that needs to trim down about 20 pounds. I think he's 5'11", 234 pounds. If he comes in at around 215, 210 pounds, I think he's got a chance to be a much better runner overall. Now, on the blue team, we got to see Tyler Morris, and he is cemented as the boundary receiver. Now, if you watch the game on Fox, they were talking about, he is the wide receiver one. He's pretty much that de facto wide receiver one. They talked about his confidence. And yeah, he looks like a receiver out there who has confidence. He looks like someone who knows what he's doing, and he was used as a short area creator in the spring game. They had an end around for him. He looks like a player that's going to take that next jump, and I do like Morris for this team. I like him as the boundary receiver. Now let's talk about tight end Marlon Klein. All spring, we've heard about how good this guy is. He finally picked it up. I wanted to see if that was just like hype speed to kind of get him hyped, or if it's legit, and it really does look legit. He finds a way to get open. It's pure and simple. He has soft hands, and Michigan has something there with him, and I do like that. Now, let's talk about the blue team defense. Derek Moore, he was in there at the defensive end spot, and he was playing coverage. He broke up a pass that was intended to Samaj Morgan. And the blue team got a lot of pressures. Both defenses got a lot of pressure. Zeke Berry, he was a playmaker in the secondary. He played really well. I believe it was towards the end of the first half or the beginning of the second half where Anao Ida, who's gained 75 pounds in a year in this program, he almost caused a pick six. So I do like what I saw with the blue team. Let's go and talk about the Maize team. Now, the Maize starting quarterback was Davis Warren, and all spring, we had heard about, is it going to be Alex Orji? Is it going to be Jaden Denagel? Well, it was Davis Warren who got the start, and he looked pretty good. He made some nice throws. He was someone that didn't have to have his feet set to be able to make on-target throws. He also played that first series in the first quarter. He then took off the second and third quarter, got back in the fourth quarter. And in the fourth quarter, it looked like the game really slowed down for him. He wasn't tense or nervous. He just wanted to just go out and play, and you saw that. He let it rip. He had an absolute dime of a touchdown, and then the very next possession had another passing touchdown. He looked poised. He looked like a guy that you want as your starting quarterback for the University of Michigan. He is a guy who will be efficient with the football. You're not going to ask him to throw the ball 25, 30 times. This is a guy that is going to hand the ball off on key third down situations. He knows the playbook. He is the extension of the head coach out there. He is someone that's going to make that net positive play on that third and fourth, get the first down, get the chains moving. isn't going to be someone that's going to make mistakes. He's not going to be someone that's going to be out there and be reckless. I do like that about him. He knows this playbook. He is a guy that can coach up these young receivers, coach up this entire young nucleus. I mean, the offense, they're replacing all five guys on the offensive lineman. They're replacing two wide receivers. They're replacing Blake Corum. Donovan Edwards is there, yes, but this is a young nucleus. He is someone that is going to be a calming influence for the team. And as a team with a lot of young guys, you want someone like that on your team. So I do like that. I saw he came back in the fourth, kind of command the team, led two touchdown passes. I like that. I really do like it. Now, look, I get it. He's not going to wow you. He's not going to be someone that has tremendous upside. He's not going to be anyone that's going to go 24 for 30 for 300 passing yards and 4 touchdowns in a game. That's not what he does. That's not what Michigan asks for their quarterback. So you kind of want to see both guys play. So is Alex Orji going to be someone that is willing to be a package kind of quarterback where you put him in 10, 15 plays a game to be a wildcat, to kind of do some RPO stuff? Or does he want to be the every down starter? That's something that I think we kind of have to see. But as I'm watching the game, as I'm watching this defense play, we'll get more in depth about this Mays defense, but I see this defense keeping them in the majority of games. I see Donovan Edwards being able to move the chains, kind of get explosive. Colson Loveland, that we'll talk about in a little bit later on. The receivers, there's all these pieces that are there. Davis Warren is that plug and play. You kind of put him in there. Is he going to lose you a game? No. Is he going to win you a game? The answer is likely no, but he's someone that is going to be safe. And with all this turnover, you kind of want something safe at the position. And I know that's not a good upside play, but that's what I'm looking at when I'm looking at this team as a whole. Now, it would truly be a feel-good story if he were to be the starting quarterback for Team 145. But, I mean, at the end of the day, do they go with talent and Alex Orji, or do they go with the guy that's been in the system for quite some time? Now let's move on with the Mays team. And the second quarterback in was Jaden Davis, and he ran the 2-minute offense. He looked fine the first couple of plays. He then kind of took too much time pre-snap when the clock was running in that 2-minute offense, burned a lot of time, a lot of clock. He looked confused out there. My concern was always that the game would be too fast for him, and it definitely looked that way. When his first read wasn't there, he was running, and he panicked whenever he was blitzed. He's simply not ready. Now, he also dropped the snap. The first series in the second half, that was the one where he got intercepted, and it was bad. He held on to the ball way too long, kind of scrambled out to his right, made a bad read and a bad throw, and he was intercepted. But the team was able to get it back because the guy that intercepted, who is now no longer with the team, ended up fumbling. Now let's go on to the second running back in for the Mays team, and that was Khalil Mullins. He is a guy that is going to get you 4 yards when there's 4 yards there. When there's 2 yards there, he'll get you 4. That's just who he is. He's going to get you 4 yards regardless of the situation. The second back in for the Mays team was Tavar Dunlap. Cole Cabana wasn't in there. And then a highly touted true freshman, Jordan Marshall, he'll be in later in the summer. So Dunlap took the majority of the carries just because they needed someone to, so that no one would get hurt. You kind of saw that pecking order where Mullins is the clear second right now. And then the third and fourth back is kind of up for grabs. And Cabana's just probably going to be maybe a role player, kind of a special teamers. Let's go on to the receiver, Frederick Moore. We saw him, and he was speed. The first target for the Mays team. He made some nice catches throughout the game. Is he the wide receiver too? I really do think so. He had an end around. He caught the ball and ran it. He was a creator with the ball in his hands. Got the touchdown on a short catch. I like him. I really do. He had that touchdown. You saw his burst. You saw him being explosive. He is someone that can play in the boundary spot. And I do think he cemented a starting role unless they get someone in from the portal. Let's talk about Samaj Morgan. I think he is the clear slot guy. He is the guy that they're going to create. They don't want him to be pressed. He is more in a leaner build. He's someone that can create. Um, Also, he'll probably do a lot of end arounds, a lot of motions and sweeps. We also got to see Kendrick Bell play. He got that touchdown from Davis Warren. He is Ronnie Bell's brother. He's in the program. He is becoming a very good blocker. He shows good hands. Probably needs another year or so. Colson Loveland was on the Mays team. He was lined up being detached from the line. They were using him out wide. They motioned him. I do like that. He should be the number one target earner this year for Michigan. Let's talk about the Mays defense. TJ Guy, he was making plays left and right. He made a nice defensive stop on Domin Edwards in the first series. He also sacked Jaden Davis. Ernest Hausman looked really good. He was someone that played really fast. He also made a nice tackle on Domin Edwards in the first series. Jair Hill was out there moving around. He was showing his length. He was showing some quick processing. I do like that. I do think ultimately that's why he won the job. He is quick to react and he has really good instincts. He was the one that made that shoestring tackle on Domin Edwards in the first series. Now, Hill made a nice stop on fourth down in the second half to kind of tip the ball away from Peyton O'Leary. That kind of really helped them on the defense. Now, Will Johnson, he wasn't tested. He wasn't out there for long. He also got that superstar treatment. And based on the superstar treatment, they were Domin Edwards and Will Johnson. They were the two that they didn't want to get their jerseys dirty. They didn't want to get them hurt. They were in for a little bit, and then they pretty much rested up. My takeaways, I think Jane Davis and Jane Denigel played multiple series. Denigel looked the worst. I don't think he is ready at all. I think he is someone that if he were to hit the portal, I don't think that would be a big loss at all. I think he is someone that needs to go down to the G5. When he did that interception in the second half, right after the Mays team, they ran 9 times in a row. And the 10th play, they called the pass, and it almost got picked off. He is simply not ready. He is simply not a power forward quarterback. The game is just too fast for him. And I think at the end of the day, he does need to transfer down. From an overall offensive perspective, I liked it. I like that there's a lot of motion, a lot of line shifts, sometimes both pre-snap. What that's going to do, it's going to help the quarterback kind of feel out what the defense is going to be, kind of get them into a better spot. So I do like all the pre-snap stuff that we have seen on a consistent basis. Last year, that wasn't something that you saw on every play. You really saw that on every play in the spring game. And then Donovan Edwards, he looked like a brand new back. He added the weight, added the muscle, added the power, has the speed. This very well could be that breakout season that we have long awaited for. Alex Orji calmed down. He looked good on the first drive. Jaden Davis is someone that's willing to push it down the field. After the game, offensive coordinator Kirk Campbell said that they need more wide receiver depth. They only have 5 scholarship players. So I do expect some guys to come on in. Now, the 5 scholarship guys, if you include Peyton O'Leary, or if you don't include him, which I don't think you should, they only have 4 scholarship wide receivers. Depth is definitely needed. And I think that I want someone that has experience, someone that's like a senior, a grad transfer, one of those guys to kind of help these guys grow. I also want to see them add some safety help from the portal. I want to see them add a veteran quarterback to kind of help mentor that room. You have Jack Tuttle, who is kind of like that guy, but I want another guy to have that experience to come on in. I want someone to kind of, finish up their eligibility and then be a mentor and then become a graduate assistant afterwards. I want someone to kind of mentor Jane Davis. There's a lot of young guys in this room, and I want to see that. And that kind of leads me to that trend. Michigan has a lot of youth. They could use some veterans at certain positions to kind of help mentor each positional group that there's a need for. Jaden Davis, I think he is the future of this program. He looked good. He was willing to push it downfield, show quick processing as a true freshman. Wink Martindale wasn't going easy on any of these quarterbacks. And I think Davis is a bright future in Ann Arbor. We just kind of have to bridge this year to next year. And speaking of bridge, just bridge on over to our profile segment. And the freshman player profile of the day is defensive end Dominic Nichols. He is 6'5", 255 pounds. He is a 3-star in the composites, rated as high as defensive end 36 and as low as defensive end 49. He averages out to be defensive end number 39. I didn't mention him in the spring game wrap-up because I wanted to mention him now. He played fast. He looked like a player who could help out day one. He looked like a player who might be someone that kind of help out at the bottom of the rotation this year as a true freshman. We don't typically see that. I see that with him. And, let's move on to our next man up player profile of the day. And that's going to be wide receiver Frederick Moore. He is 3-star in the composites, part of the 2023 class. He spent a year and got up to par in the strength and conditioning program. What we could see here could be a very interesting season. Moore has plenty of speed. He is someone that can threaten downfield, that can threaten in space when he has the ball in his hands. And I like him. I like his play. I like his hip sync. I like his lateral quickness. He has good vision downfield with the ball in his hands to create. He's seeing 2-3 moves ahead of him, not just the guy in front of him. So I do like that. He is a good route runner. He is someone that can definitely develop in this program. If they don't bring anyone in, he should be the opposite boundary receiver to Tyler Morris. In our returning player profile of the day, we mentioned him briefly earlier. That's wide receiver Kendrick Bell. He is a 3-star in the composites, part of the 2023 class. He is Ronnie Bell's brother. He flashed in the spring game. He had a touchdown. He looks nice. He looks like to be a good depth piece. Like I said, they only have 5 guys there, so you kind of need everyone to be a depth piece. Now, I want to see him as a returner this year. I don't think he's ready to take on any kind of a workload in the rotation. He is someone that can kind of help up as a returner when the game's out of hand, put him in there, kind of mop-up duty. I want to see him continue to develop and grow with the rest of the receivers. And that will lead us to our throwback player of the day. And that is going to be quarterback Scott Dreisbach. Now, Scott Dreisbach, he was named the starter as a true freshman in 1995. He did get hurt and Brian Greasy took over. The very next year, he beat out Brian Greasy for that starting job. He would compete for it and win it. He ended up having a pretty good season. He completed 149 out of 269 passes, threw it for 2,025 yards, 12 touchdowns. And the thing with Scott Dreisbach is he would have multiple injuries during his time at Michigan. He would end up being a mentor in 1997, 1998 to Tom Brady and Drew Henson. Now, Dreisbach was this teacher for these young guys, and people want to talk about Tom Brady versus Drew Henson, but people forget about Dreisbach teaching these two guys. Without him there, I don't think history would be the same of how it is. Tom Brady learned a lot from him. Drew Henson learned a lot. We talked about Drew Henson in the past. He went on to play baseball. He was the biggest question mark of what if. But Scott Dreisbach would go on to have a 9-year professional football career. 3 years in the NFL with the Oakland Raiders, Buffalo Bills and Detroit Lions. He would then spend the rest of the time in NFL Europe and arena football. Now, after his retirement, he would go on to be a teacher and be a high school football coach. Scott Dreisbach is in the Indiana Football Hall of Fame. And that concludes our episode of Welcome to the Big House. I want to give a thank you again for tuning in for another episode. A special thank you to Dwight Peoples for the intro, Nino Brown for producing, and the entire CFB Nation. Until next week, who's got it better than CFB Nation?
Got a question for you. Who's got it better than us? No!